fans, just two of us here today. Four of us last week, two of us this week. Of course, I'm Ryan Aho. That is the one and only Bert Lehman, bringing you episode number 201, a fresh new season here for the One to Go show. And before we get into it, a little shout out, Impact Health Sharing. You know, if you're a business owner, self-employed, farmer, trucker, you name it. If you have to pay for your own health insurance for you, your family, whatever it may be, and you're looking at the numbers, you're like, man, I'm paying too much. This is ridiculous. Shoot me a text, shoot me a call, message me on Facebook. My number is 218-969-1380. I'd be happy to get you a quote, been able to save people literally thousands of dollars. I can get you some information so you can make a decision if it's something that can help your family out. So now, little trip to Lambeau, Bert. We went last week. I mean, everybody's like, it's a racing show. It is. But, you know, me and Bert, we don't get to hang out very often, right? So Bert has a good buddy of his that was, you know, connected him in with a ticket to Lambeau, Vikings versus the Packers. First time there for me, and I got to be honest, I hate to say this. I probably shouldn't say it publicly, but quite the stadium. Lambeau, it was quite the experience. And kind of, I think everybody left feeling like they lost. Packers got whooped. Vikings won, but of course, quarterback out for the year. Little adversity there, but man, good to see you. And you got to do that a little bit more often. That maybe.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun. And like I said, I mean, you know, even if you're not a Packers fan, if you're a football fan, you have to go to Lambeau Field at least once in your lifetime just to experience the game there. I mean, I liked how when I was telling you about our seats and I told you they're bleacher seats. You said, really? They're bleacher seats? Yeah, there's not many stadiums in the NFL that have bleacher seats.
Yeah, I had no idea that it was all aluminum bleachers. It kind of reminded me of going to the Grand Rapids Speedway or Red Cedar Speedway in Menominee, just aluminum bleachers. But, you know, it was warmer in there than I thought, too. Brenda and I went to a Vikings Bears game at Soldier Field a little later in the year, and we were frozen. It was 40 degrees. I was a little nervous, but it was definitely not as cold at Lambeau as it was at Chicago. But heck of a good time, and we'll have to maybe over the winter here, might have to catch a race somewhere. I mean, there's still plenty here at the end of the year. There's some starting right away in January. Got to break up the winter somehow. So our top stories of the week, Bert. I guess we'll just roll right into our top stories of the week. Now, let's be honest. I mean, Mother Nature eliminated a couple of them for sure, but still a little bit of racing, still some pretty good storylines out there. But a little shout out to our friends over at Daytona One Performance Lubricants. What are they passionate about? Keeping money in your pockets, right? They want to help race teams, racers. They want to help people save money. Okay, that's what they want to do. I'm making a little note here. Speaking of that, got something. I had a fan question I forgot to ask about. So, with that said, they have a lot of different products, right? I recommend calling Chad. His number is 507-828-3536. And ask them, say, what are all the products that you have? How can these products benefit me? Jump onto Facebook. Check them out on Facebook. I mean, they have everything, every kind of lubricant known to man. They have it. And one thing they're really, really passionate about is their tire treatment products. And I get it. It's voodoo, right? Oh, man, you can't be messing with tires. Well, let's be honest. When people are paying $200 for tires or $150 even in Wissota country, that's not sustainable. Got to find a way to make those tires last longer. They have some great products that do just that. Get educated, whether you're a driver, track promoter, if you're in Wissota, whatever. If you run a series, just give Chad a call. Visit with them. I mean, he'd love to kind of fill you in on the products they have to offer and let you know how that can benefit Wissota racing, IMCA racing, and all other forms of motorsports. So, Bert, I think we're going to start off with our top two here for our boy Brad. Big asphalt guy, big NASCAR guy. So just for Brad, right? We start with football, transition into asphalt racing because we know he loves it. Sorry, buddy, there's just not a lot of dirt stuff going on. So the stage is set for Phoenix. It's championship weekend. And I know how passionate you were, Bert, last week about how much you love that chase format at Lucas Oil. So we wanted to start out hot with this. And of course, NASCAR did this a few years back. But if you follow NASCAR, right, they got Phoenix this coming weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday's the truck, Saturday's Xfinity, Sunday's the Cup race, and they have the final four, just like Lucas Oil did, and whoever finishes the highest is the champion. In Cup, kind of looks to me like a little bit of dirt guys here in Cup, Bert. You know, Ryan Blaney, that's a dirt name, right? Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, William Byron has made laps on the dirt. I don't know if he's raced a lot on the dirt, but he's definitely raced on the dirt. So, kind of, who's your pick in that one? Out of these four, I mean, the homer in me, not homer, but I mean, a true dirt car guy. Kind of got to go with Kyle Larson here, but who's your pick?
If I was picking one, I'd probably pick Kyle Larson, but I think it would be kind of cool to see Christopher Bell win the championship.
Yeah, he's a diehard dirt guy too. Now, from what I understand, Gibbs, he's not letting him race dirt, right? Is that kind of how that works? I think.
Yeah, or very limited, if at all. Yeah.
Right. So Kyle Larson's contract allows him to race a whole lot more. Although it seemed like he raced a lot less this year, didn't it? I mean, ran some sprint car stuff, but we didn't see him much, especially the second half of the year, or really most of the year in the late model, did we?
No, he didn't race much in the late model. I mean, actually, Brandon Shepard raced in that Rumley late model more than what Larson did, I think.
He did, especially at the end, and I know Overton ran it. I think T-Mac ran it. So yeah, kind of interesting to see. Maybe Larson won't be in the late model next year. I'm sure he'll play around a little bit, but I guess time will tell. Now, Xfinity Series, Sam Meyer, Justin Allgaier, dirt guy from Illinois, John Hunter Nemechek. Is that Joe's kid, or is that how's that tied in?
I think that's his kid. I'm not positive. I'm not 100% positive, but I think it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. Cole Custer is the fourth driver. And then in the trucks, I don't know any of these guys, right? But Corey Heim or Corey Helm, I guess it is, not Corey Heim. Carson Hocevar, I recognize that name. Ben Rhodes and Grant Enfinger. So those are your drivers all locked in. I'll be honest with you. I'll watch the dirt stuff first, but I probably will watch at least like the last 30, 40 laps of each race. I'll probably, kind of got my attention.
Hocevar has raced dirt late models. He's dabbled with dirt late models. Number 42 in some races, if you remember. And then in the Xfinity Series, Sam Mayer, he's from Wisconsin, so he's a Wisconsin driver. Yeah.
All right, so Bert filling us in on the little asphalt stuff there. So keep an eye on that. But I didn't watch much, right? But I watched some highlights. And our number four moment. Sorry, Brad, sticking with asphalt. The last lap pass by Justin Allgaier to get in. He was third. Took the white flag. He's third. First and second got together at Martinsville, shoved up the track. He got to the inside. And my buddy Jim, my old pit guy, sent me a video, and his spotter, I think, was more excited than the driver. He was flipping out. It was super cool listening to him go absolutely bonkers because that win locked them into the championship four going into Phoenix. So pretty cool moment there for a dirt guy from Illinois, former sponsor of Bobby Pierce, but he's run mods quite a bit. I think still has a mod out there. I don't think he races it much, but he does make some laps. He'll probably be at Volusia. Number 3, speaking of mods, Bert, did you watch? Oh yeah, I guess we did. We kind of watched the end of that race. So the dirt track at Charlotte, of course, this week World Finals. Last week they had the World Short Track Championships, kind of a UMP invitational, if you will, kind of like almost like a Wissota 100 maybe, or something along those lines. But they had over 500 cars, right? It was crazy. I think Puka set that up. Question I have for you. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, I was watching some of it Saturday night, and it's like they had 3 different 4-cylinder compact divisions. It's just like, how many compact 4-cylinder divisions can you have?
And they had like 87 late model divisions and like 5 modified divisions. But so is there a point as a diehard race fan, even though they kind of split the format a little bit, where it's just like, my goodness, like that is just way too many cars for me to even be interested in even watching. I mean, you look at the Boone Super Nationals, they get insane car counts. You look at the Wissota 100, it's a big car count. It's not Boone, right? But I mean, my goodness. I mean, you look at the Silver 1000, Bert, two classes of cars. They get about 40-ish in each of them, typically about 80 cars. Typically a pretty fast-moving show. Crowds in, crowds out, good racing. Some of these shows that go like 8, 10, 12 hours. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, see, this is where there's diehards versus the casual fans. I mean, I'm a diehard, but I mean, even for me, I mean, 500 is a lot of cars, and maybe it's just me getting older. Well, I mean, actually, when I was younger, you know, I loved staying at the track until midnight watching races and that sort of thing. But as you get older, you don't. But anyway, you know, we keep saying, you know, we have to get more new fans to watch the sport. A show with 500 cars isn't going to get you new fans to the sport.
Absolutely not.
A casual fan who goes to that show is, I mean, it could be exciting racing every race, but they're going to get bored after a while because we live in a world now where the attention span is very short for a lot of people.
100% agreed. And I get it. It is what it is. It's not a weekly show or whatever, but my goodness, I looked at that. I'm like, no, I'll just watch the mods. That's what I want to watch. I was kind of interested a little bit in the 602 late models, primarily because the Kentucky Colonel Steve Francis was behind the wheel. I think he ended up getting 6th or 7th, somewhere in that neighborhood. Interesting enough, in the 602s, and then we'll get to our number 3 moment. We'll get to the number 3 moment first. I got to give some love, right, to a soda guy, Tyler Cater, making the trip down from St. Cloud, Minnesota, down to Charlotte, rounded out the weekend with a top 5 finish, representing Wissota Country well. Congratulations to him. I was surprised. I mean, he's been down there before, and with all the racing all over the country, right? UMP stuff in Illinois. You got, you know, the stuff down in Arizona. I was surprised that he went there. Not really sure what the reason is. I didn't get to talk to him, but a top 5 finish nonetheless. A lot of attrition, a lot of tire issues with 500 cars. It was pretty tough to keep the track to have any moisture, so lots of right rears, including the Magic Man, Mike McKinney. Bert, he went from 17th to 1st, and there was some attrition along the way. He got some help getting up there. But after the yellow there on the green, white checkered, right rear tire went down, and there that went, right? So Taylor Cook, I think, his 2nd straight year parking it in Victory Lane in the modified. But in the 602 crates, first time ever in a late model, 11-year-old Beckham Malone from Rock Hill, South Carolina, parked it in Victory Lane. Your thoughts?
That was his first time in a late model?
It was.
I mean, I saw that an 11-year-old one, and it's like, you know, okay, you know, he's probably been racing these for, you know, a little while, but wow, that's really impressive if that was his first time in a late model.
Yeah, first time in a late model. No, my thoughts on it is this. I had an opportunity to talk to Kennedy Swan's dad, Jason Swan. And when Kennedy jumped into a B mod, which essentially 602, they run 602 motors in B mod, so they're kind of the same speed, right? She's like, my goodness, these things are ridiculously slow, because she had many years in go-karts, and the high-end go-karts that they were racing are faster, a lot quicker, a lot icier, a lot faster than a B mod or a 602 late. So that's where the speed factor comes in. He was so used to going like super quick. I'm speculating on this, in the go-karts, that when he jumped into that car, as long as it rotated, the speed didn't bother him because it's slower than what he was already racing. But 11-year-old parking in Victory Lane, that's kind of a cool thing. have mixed feelings on that. Hopefully they don't
Yeah.
have $100,000 602 late model out there, but I guess maybe a person to keep an eye on over maybe the next 5, 6, 7 years or whatever. Keep that one in your memory bank. Number 2, Bert. Did you get to watch the National 100 at East Alabama?
I actually did watch the feature of that race, and that's a elbows up on the steering wheel type of track, and it was pretty good racing early in the race. I mean, they probably don't need a 100-lap feature in that race. I mean, because the tail end of the race wasn't as exciting as the early portions of the race.
Yeah, and they farmed it. It had taken rubber earlier in the night, but they decided to run the
Okay.
whole, I guess the B mains and the features and everything after everything else was done. Farmed it, sun was down. But
Well,
yeah, just smoky bottom.
and in the beginning of the race, I mean, yeah, the track wasn't black at all. I mean, it was a well-groomed dirt track, but after 100 laps, that track was black from top to bottom.
Yeah, it's like that down there, that East Alabama track. I mean, I remember last year, year before, I think pretty much every car on the track blew a right rear tire because of the rubber. So at least that didn't happen. But good run for Jimmy Owens, finishing second. Good podium finish for him. Kyle Bronson third, and then RTJ and Turbo rounding out your top 5. Number 1 moment of the week, though, Bert, brought to you by our friend of the show here, Brad Parson. Brad Parson's Soil and Ag Solution. So what does he do? He helps farmers make more money. Okay, if you're a farmer and you want to make more money, I recommend calling Brad, at least seeing what he has to say. His number, 320-219-3542. And I'm talking primarily Western Minnesota, North and South Dakota. Give him a call. He's got a lot of different products out there that you can mix with your current spray packages, and you'll be glad you did. I've heard a lot of good stuff from people using his product. Now, a milestone moment, right? Milestone moments are pretty cool. You know, when you think milestone wins, win number 100, win number 300, 250, right? Win number 500. If you're Shane Sabraski, win number 8,764, whatever it may be. Okay, but we're talking the GOAT here. Now, I give my buddy Jim a lot of shit, and I keep telling him, oh, Bloomquist's better than this guy. He's not. Okay, he's just not. Mr. Smooth Billy Moyer, career win number 850. He got it done this weekend, Thunderbird Speedway, Muskogee, Oklahoma. 3rd win of the year. You know, he ain't no spring chicken. How old do you think he is, Bert? He's got to be mid to late 60s, right? Somewhere in that neighborhood. I don't think he's 70.
No, I don't think he's 70. I would say at least mid 60s.
Yeah, you know, I got a few people. He was cherry picking. He's mid 60s. He ain't RTJ and the Huggins. I mean, he ain't gonna go race with them guys very often. What are we talking about here? 3rd win of the year. Incidentally, that is 3 more than Scott Bloomquist had this year. And let's face it, we're not going to be able to see a whole lot more of the 21 rolling into victory lane. I mean, his career at some point is going to be over. He ran a lot this year, like 50 some shows or whatever. He ran quite a bit. But Billy Moyer in victory lane, always cool to see that 21 getting her done. So, Bert, let's jump into some. You know what? Before we get into that, I had a fan question coming. Okay, and the fan question was, you look at some of these purses. Okay, and this fan question came from Bob. So you look at some of these purses, late models. There's been more money on the line for the winner for sure over the last couple of years than in the history of racing. Right? I mean, look. I mean, this year I think there was only 400 or 500 grand to win races. Last year there was more than that, but a ton of 50,000 to win and so on. On social media, and on Twitter, if you follow some of these car owners, a lot of them are being very vocal, extremely vocal about, we don't need to give all the money to first, right? We need to spread that out. Do you think that there's going to be a trend in 2024 and on where we see even less 50 grand, 100 grand to win shows, and they kind of move that money down throughout the field and have more start money? Do you think that's going to happen?
Well, it depends if if the car owners are truly willing to express their opinion that something's got to change. And what I mean by that, and so that it may not happen in 2024. Maybe more so in 2025 if drivers start not showing up at these races that pay 100,000 to win, but then it's 5,000 for second. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you know what I mean.
Well, the Dirt Track World Championship, Bert, was 100,000 to win, 20 for second, 10 for third, 8 for fourth. It just fell off. 2,500, I think it was to start, and that was from like 16th or 18th back. So,
promoters are doing it this way because they like the buzz that they get from the media. 100,000 to win, but yeah, you never see the entire payout posted anywhere. It's always just 100,000 to win. They don't say how much it is to start and that sort of thing. The car owners and the drivers know what it is before they go to the race, but they get the buzz off of the big number being thrown out there, and the fact that drivers are chasing $1 million throughout the entire season and that sort of thing, where if they drop these purses, the win money for the purses, you're not going to necessarily see those news stories of drivers having a possibility to win $1 million.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. Things got crazy, but I think that with the cost of everything in the world, right? Inflation, a lot of these teams are they've become very vocal in the last maybe month or 6 weeks about, I don't know how much more we can afford to be traveling down the road like this and getting checks for $3,000-$4,000, right? So
right.
Keep an eye on that moving forward. So let's jump into a little WISSOTA news, Bert. WISSOTA season, of course, done, but we're just over a week away from the annual WISSOTA meetings, banquet, and expo down in St. Cloud, Minnesota. First, a shout out to Fastlane Motorsports and Powder Coating of Ashland, Wisconsin, home of the Galloper chassis, proud sponsors of the best series in all of WISSOTA racing, the Fastlane Motorsports Northland Superstock Series. The car counts for that was incredible. A lot of that due to the help of Chris Bredding at Fastlane. They do custom fabricating, powder coating, sandblasting, parts vendors at multiple racetracks. They can ship you anything that you need. You name it, they got it. And if they don't have it in stock, they can get it. So get a hold of Chris Bredding and the crew at Fastlane Motorsports and Powder Coating in Ashland, Wisconsin. So the meeting's coming up this week, Bert. So you hear this all the time in WISSOTA country. Well, WISSOTA doesn't make the rules. Promoters make the rules. That's valid. That is true. Bert, here's how this kind of works. So if you're listening to this, here's how it works. Here's how the real world works. So drivers and whoever can go talk to their local promoters and say, you know what, I think we should maybe change this rule or amend this rule or whatever we need to do. And then they have, okay, why do you need that? Is it a cost deal, safety? So the drivers have a vehicle. They are able to go right to the promoters. The promoters can then submit those rules change proposals to WISSOTA, and then WISSOTA in turn takes and they put together an agenda of what's going to be discussed and voted on at the annual meeting. They send them back to the promoters, so the promoters have an opportunity to research the things that are being voted on. Kind of makes sense, right? Bert, the frickin' promoters haven't even got the agendas yet. We're a week away from the frickin' meetings, and they don't even have the agendas yet from WISSOTA. What the hell is wrong with these people? Is this by design where they're like, wow, we just ain't going to send stuff to them because we don't want to change shit and we just don't want to deal with it? Or are they just that inept that they can't get nothing done on a timely fashion? It's a broken system. That's for IMCA and some of these USRA are better because you submit it to them and they're like, we're going to make the rules. We don't need to have 50 freaking promoters getting together voting on stuff. Some promoters are like, hey, I want an active role in that. Sorry, you ain't got one, right? Because if they sent the agendas out, it takes more than a week to look through that whole agenda and actually take the time and effort to research, like, why is this a good idea? Why is this not? What do I think? Is it unbelievable to you that we're literally a week away and they still haven't received their agendas so they can take an active role in this process? Is that ridiculous?
Well, I mean, if you want good decisions made based on well-researched information, promoters need to know, what is going to be discussed. I mean, they can't find out the morning of a vote that they're going to be voting on such and such. And I mean, I've never been a promoter, but I would think that a promoter would want to maybe even get some input from some of their weekly drivers. Hey, what do you think of this proposed rule change and that sort of thing. But if you don't get the topics in a timely manner, that's not even possible. And I think Jeff said, I think it was like 2 weeks ago on the show, maybe even 3 weeks ago, Jeff said that all the requests for rules changes had to be in already. So, I mean,
right.
If that's the case, they should have had plenty of time to put something together.
Yeah, I mean, this ain't a complicated deal, right? I mean, can one person handle all that quickly? If not, get 2-3 of them to work on it. The day that those proposals had to be in, the next day or maybe 2 days later, there should have been an email out of, here's the proposal changes. This ain't a complicated deal. It's aggravating to me, and this is exactly why, Bert, historically, the meetings are a complete dumpster fire, right? And I mean, people bickering back and forth and asking questions and confusion because there's lack of preparation, right? Allow for more preparation and we'll be able to do a better job for everybody. I got another fan question here from Disgruntled Racer. That's, I won't say his, but he sent me this. He's like, to go to the end, first of all, you have to go to the annual banquet to get your full point fund money. I don't recall exactly how much they chop off there. It's either 20, I think it's 25%. They'll whack off your point fund check if you don't go. Or at least it used to be that way. I believe it still is. Now, when I won, I ran Scott Duvall's car in Wisconsin here, 2016, and his track at the time was NASCAR Whelen Series, and I won the Modified Track Championship. And the banquet for that, for the NASCAR Whelen Series local dirt track, whatever it is, was in Charlotte. Okay, well, they actually, if you were a champion of any kind, track champion, whatever, you got 2 free tickets plus your hotel room paid for. Okay, now it costs drivers more money in some cases to actually go to the banquet than what they're actually getting back, right? And by the time you travel there, you get hotel, you pay for your tickets to get in. I mean, let's face it, we're race car drivers. Not everybody dresses up, so you got to get some nice clothes, right? So, I mean, by the time you get all said and done, it costs you money to go. So his idea, and I agree with him, I think it's a good idea, is if you're in the top 10 in any of the WISSOTA classes, right, you get recognized there. You should get 2 free tickets to get in. Anybody that's a champion of, whether it's a track champion or national champion, whatever, give them a free hotel room for either the night of the banquet or the night before. Now, at first you're like, well, where's this money going to come from? Well, this ain't complicated. Go get a couple sponsors, generate some revenue. I hear somebody in the background there, Bert. You got the right guy?
That's Revy, my dog, biting her squeaky toy.
Nice. I heard that back there. I'm like, what's that going on? So So that's a suggestion for Wissota, Bert. I don't know how it works at for IMCA or whatever, but I mean, I'm all about banquets. I believe drivers, right, and teams should get the recognition they're due. They put in a lot of time and effort to actually put themselves in a position to get recognized, right? And nobody's doing it for the money because, quite honestly, there's just not a lot of money there to give. And that's not a knock on Wissota. That's just a reality of the sport. Okay. But with that said, I mean, Wissota, if you're instead of constantly, right, being the organization that's got more fees and pit parking and this and that and the other, how about making a step forward and saying, look, we are going to, right? We're gonna reward you for coming to the banquet. If you're top 10, maybe start up top 5. If you're top 5 in points, free banquet tickets. Man, I thought that was a good idea from the disgruntled racer. He's like, man, I want to go, but I don't want to go. I want to go because it's fun, right? You get to hang out with some drivers, but it costs me money, and I spent all season long spending every dollar I had. I don't have any more money to go spend at the banquet. So yeah, that's why oftentimes you see drivers saying, you know what, I'm not going to go to the banquet because it costs them too much money. So Wissota, step up and do something about this. That's my suggestion. Your thoughts on that, Bert?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not a bad idea. And yeah, maybe just to start, do the top 5. I mean, you don't have to do a lot of them. Although those down further on the point standings are making less money, so they're the ones who actually need the ticket more than what the top 5 does. So maybe you do position 6 or 10. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, you could come up with some sort of program to make it a win-win situation for all parties involved.
Yeah, I mean, for goodness sake, they could do a raffle deal, something. There's all kinds of things you could do to figure out how much money would that entail, right? How much money are we talking if we do this? First of all, you have to have a target, and then it's easy to figure out something creative to generate the revenue to make that happen. That's just how the world works. Okay. Now,
Well,
they got the
do they have a 50-50 raffle at the banquet? Have a 50-50 raffle with money, with some of that money going towards the tickets for the drivers.
I feel like they do, but I'm not 100% positive if they do or not.
Okay.
I can't remember if they had one last year. They're having an expo. They had expos for quite a few years, and then they went a number of years with no expo at all. Last year it was a last minute deal. They threw an expo together for the Saturday of the banquet. It was awful. I mean, it was a disaster. There was like nobody there. There's more people on the list this year. I'm not saying it's not. It's better. It is better. Little tip of the cap there because it is an improvement. So a little love to whoever. Probably Rod is probably kind of the guy in charge of that. So it is better. There's still not a lot of stuff. As a racer, I looked at the list of businesses and I'm like, well, there's like 2 things that I'd even go talk to. There's quite a bit for the track. So it's an improvement, and hopefully they can build on that for years to come because nothing wrong with having an expo. It can be a viable tool for a lot of different reasons. Guest speaker this year, Bert, and kind of a disappointment that they mentioned it a little bit, but you got Kenny Wallace coming. This guy's awesome, right? The energy he has, the passion for racing. I mean, so first of all, tip of the cap. I believe Rod made this happen. So the old Herminator coming to St. Cloud. He's going to be the keynote speaker at the banquet. That's super cool, right? That's probably worth going all by itself, right? So if you're thinking about, should I go? Well, Kenny Wallace is going to be there. How often do you get to see Kenny Wallace in person and go shake hands? I mean, he's a racer guy, right? I mean, go visit with him. So that's pretty cool, but not a lot of. There should have been, in my eyes, a whole lot more hype on that Kenny Wallace is going to be the keynote speaker. And just a couple posts and a little bit of a disappointment there, Bert.
Where is the banquet going to be held? What town? What city?
St. Cloud, Minnesota.
Okay.
Yep. Same place as always. It used to be the Kelly Inn. I don't know what it's called now, but it's basically downtown St. Cloud, and pretty easy to get to, centrally located, and that's of course where the
and
office
that's the
is
key.
for Minnesota.
You have to have, because of the vast geographic area that Wissota covers, you have to have a somewhat centrally located place to have it.
Right. Now, the last thing I'm going to end with is this. Last year, there was a complete shit show with the tire debacle that happened at the annual meeting, right? Wissota locked into a contract for 2 more years, a price lock on Hoosier tires. Lo and behold, they pushed through a 9% increase on the cost of tires, therefore taking money out of the pockets of all the Wissota racers. Unbelievable, terrible. But here's the deal. Shannon Rush is the Hoosier guy, right? He's the sales, he's a dirt track guy for Hoosier. Last year, Bert, when this happened, he got up in front of the room for 30 minutes, whatever it was, talking about, oh, you don't need to raise the price. We're locked into pricing. You know, you're fortunate that Wissota did that for you. And I'm not even going to, he literally said, I'm not even going to ask anybody to increase it. Not going to do that. Lo and behold, before that, Bert, he actually met with a couple promoters and literally talked him into it. Whatever he did, you make your own assessment on what happened there. But I know he got together with a couple promoters and basically outsold them. Somebody's buying and somebody's selling in every single conversation, always, right? And he was a way better seller, and they were buying everything he was saying. Because the minute he sat down, one of them promoters jumped up and says, well, I make a motion, we raise the tire cost by 9%. That was a slimy, backhanded bunch of bullshit. So I'm telling you right now, I will literally, I will recognize to the fullest extent, whatever we got to do, there should be some kind of award. If you're at the annual meeting this year, and he gets up in front of the room doing his salesman song and dance bullshit, I think somebody should go tackle him. Okay? Literally tackle him, say, sit down, shut up. Everything that's coming out of your mouth is a bunch of bullshit. We don't need you lying to all the promoters again like you did last year, because that was ridiculous. So I am hoping, and I know there's tracks that put on their agenda to bring the cost of the tires back down to what it was in 2022. I don't know if that'll get voted in or not. Maybe it'll get increased again. I don't know. But, Bert, I got to be honest with you. When you got a salesman that company's made a lot of money off of dirt track racing, up lying to the people, oh, I'm not going to ask for I'm not asking for it. I'm not going to ask for an increase. Well, you're not going to do it in front of the room because you already did it behind the scenes. And then you put your little minions out there and they went out to other promoters. I know this 100% for sure that happened. Those promoters actually went and talked to other promoters, literally selling to them what Shannon had sold to them in the first place. Guys, don't let this happen. Guys and gals, do not let this happen. That can't happen. So I know that a few people really got caught off guard on that last year. That's going to be interesting to see what comes out of this meeting with the Hoosier Tire deal, because that was probably the hottest topic of last year. A few other things on the agenda. I know that really big push right now for roller rockers and super stocks, B mods, and streets. I know that Zuli's Race Engines had a list of the different part numbers that he believes would be a good fit, and then Burt Transmissions in the street stocks would probably be a pretty good thing as well. So we'll keep everybody in the loop on what happens here at the annual meetings here in about a week or so away. But it'll be pretty interesting to say the least. Bert, weekly pick'ems brought to you by our friends at buyraceshirts.com. So if you need hats, shirts, hoodies, jackets, apparel, banners, you name it, for your race team, your business, your racetrack, your series, whatever it is, why not go to a place that's part of the racing community? So Jordan Tollickson and his crew down in Montevideo, Minnesota, they own a company called buyraceshirts.com. They offer great products at great pricing. Check them out online for all your apparel needs. So last week, we had most everything rain out, Bert. This guy right here, was the only guy to get 2 points this past weekend. Only one. I can brag for a minute. I'm like,
you mean 2 points in one race?
No. I got both of my drivers were the highest finishing driver. So I got 1 point in each race. I am still like 2,000 freaking points out of it. So, but I have an opportunity to brag for just a second, and then we get into the current point standings, and that's just going to go by the wayside. Mike and Dan had 0. They got the big goose egg, and then all the rest of everybody else got 1 point this past week. So the current points, now we're into November, and we got about a month and a half because we're going to end this deal at the final show we're picking is going to be the Gateway Dirt National. And then we'll start the new season for next year. Curtis is at 215, 8 points ahead of the 2-time and reigning champion Burt Lehman. See if Curtis can hang on here. We might have to maybe just like stop picking until Gateway just to make sure that he can keep that lead up. Bert's like, I want to pick like Enduros and Hornets and I want everything. Bert's at 207. Curtis is at 215. Then good battle for third here. We got Brad at 199 and Dan at 198. So that one's tight. Good battle for fifth. You got Mike at 187, Kent at 185. And my breaking's done because I'm at 170. Looks like 179. So that ain't good. And then we got Not So Hot Carl at 163 and his brother Jeff at 139. Now, Carl hasn't made a pick for like 3 weeks. Just saying. All right. So a look ahead to this week's shows brought to you by Zuli's Race Engines. That time of year, right? Start looking ahead to 2024. You want to win races? You need a good, fast mill underneath your hood. You want to win championships? It better be dependable. That's what Zuli's Race Engines has to offer is a high-powered race engine that's very durable, that can get you to where you want to be. So if you can't beat them, you better join them. That's Zuli's Race Engines. So we're only going to pick events at one. We're going to pick races at one event. Little shout out on the Duel in the Desert is going on this weekend. And I got to be honest with you, Bert. When Barry started doing that deal a handful of years ago, it was like highly promoted. I haven't seen barely anything for Vegas. Like, I don't even know who's going. Me and Jeff were talking about it. It's like, shit, maybe we should pick that, right? There might be some people out there that we know. There was no driver's list. I mean, you couldn't find anything. So it's like, it's interesting. So, but the Duel in the Desert, usually a pretty good race. A little news there, Bert. They're talking about, I think it's in motion. Actually, it might even be done. They built a quarter-mile track. So it's like a small half mile at Vegas. They have a quarter-mile track, and they're actually going to do some kind of, I don't know what's going to race on it, maybe the Legends or something. But they said if it goes well, they might kind of focus more on the quarter-mile track moving forward. So that'll be interesting to see. But the race that, let's be honest, that we're all kind of looking for this weekend, the World Finals at the dirt track in Charlotte, North Carolina, featuring the World of Outlaw late models, World of Outlaw sprint cars, and the Super Dirt Car Series, right? The big block mods, the beasts of the Northeast, right? So it's going to be fun. They changed the format. Did you see that? I don't know if you saw
that. No, I did not see that.
So
they're
having like a month ago, it was going to be like alternating days. Like some were going to run Wednesday, they were going to alternate. They changed it within the last week or 2 weeks. Wednesday is strictly just time trials. Yep, and they're going to have 2 sets of time trials. So your first set of time trials will be your starting lineups for Thursday. Your second set of time trials will be starting lineups for Friday. Okay, so Wednesday, if you like time trials, that is 100% your deal. There is no way on God's green earth that you could pay me enough money to watch that. It's not probably meant to be an entertainment venue, but whatever. So then they're going to do the I think all points matter type format between Thursday, Friday to line up Saturday's event. And so it is 3 separate shows. And your thoughts? I got a little bit of point stuff here, but what are you, Bert, looking forward to here this weekend down in Charlotte?
I mean, this is going to go contrary to what I ranted about last week, but I mean, definitely there's not as much excitement going into this weekend as there was to the Lucas finale. I still don't agree with the Lucas thing, but like I said, the Lucas thing, they got what they're lucky, and they got what they were looking for in the excitement. I mean, I think there's still mathematical possibilities that other drivers other than the point leaders could win, but I mean, I pretty much think that anybody leading in the points going into this weekend is going to win.
Yeah, I'll break that down for you, Bert. So in the sprint cars right now, Brad Sweets, what he's got 4 in a row. He's working on number 5, right, for the World of Outlaws. He has a 50-point lead over David Gravel. It's a 2-man race. Now, in the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series, there's not a lot of DNFs, right? Because literally they'll let you rebuild your entire car. Had they not let him do that, there would have been a little tighter point battle, but maybe that worked both ways over the summer. But 50 points. So Carson Macedo locked into 3rd. He's locked into 3rd. Don't look like he can get any higher or any lower. Hot Sauce Giovanni Selzy and Logan Schuchart, they're in a battle right now, pretty tight for 4th place. Late models, your champion, the smooth operator, Bobby Pierce. He got her done. Chris Madden, pretty much locked into 2nd, and B-Shep is 100 ahead of 4th. So, I mean, the top 3 are basically locked in, not officially, but basically. Oh, no, that's you freezing up or me freezing up there, Bert? Was that you? Did you get a text message?
I did not get a text message.
Yeah, that might have been me. I'm out here in Connecticut, so hopefully it's all coming in smooth. So, but for 4th right now, Bert, the killer Kyle Bronson, Ryan Gustin, Hoffman, and Brian Shirley are all within 10 points of each other for 4th. So there is still a good battle there. I don't know what the difference in pay is. And then for the beasts of the Northeast there, Matt Shepard, 72-point lead. I mean, it's basically locked up. Matt Williamson pretty much locked into 2nd. And then there's 3 drivers kind of battling for 3rd. But you're exactly right. I don't think either one of us, as a racing, I guess, purist, so to speak, like, we don't like the chase format. I mean, RTJ literally had over 500-point lead going into the final. Well, going into that deal, it all got erased. He ends up 3rd. I think it sucks, but this deal at the World of Outlaw deal is kind of boring. I mean, you don't see a lot of hype. There's not a lot of excitement even leading into the show. I mean, there's just, I don't know. I just haven't seen a whole lot of anything really leading into it. We saw a lot leading into that deal at Eldora. I mean, there was a lot of hype rolling into it. There is basically no hype rolling into this. So, yeah, I think you're probably spot on that, Bert, as much as it pains me to say. World of Outlaws, could they be following what the Lucas Oil Series did coming into 2024? I guess maybe that's an announcement they make at PRI. We'll find out. So, any other thoughts there on Charlotte?
No, I mean, we're going to, well, I mean, I can touch on it right now. I mean, Mike Marlar will be making his debut with his new team at Charlotte. I saw a picture of his race car, and it's a pretty sharp looking late model.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be good in it too. It said Capital on it, but I think that was Capital Race decals, I think is what it said.
It's a Longhorn. It's a Longhorn that's racing.
Yeah, when I first saw Capital on it, I'm like, oh, Capital. And then I look closer. I'm like, yeah, no, that's a Longhorn. So I think that'll be a smooth transition because he's a guy that pretty much gets a new car every 10 to 15. It's not many. He doesn't put a lot of shows on his chassis. So I'm not sure if that's a brand new one or what's going on. Well, that's a guy to keep an eye on down there is Mike Marlar. So I guess that's it. We'll keep an eye on that. Of course, that's going to be on Dirt Vision. Time trials on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday racing. you'll be able to get your full fill because there's 3 complete shows with 3 classes, all the top 3 classes of, I guess, World Racing Group. So let's jump into the last lap here, Bert, brought to you by our friends at Dirt Track Supply in Watertown, South Dakota. Home of the Aero Chassis, great people. Ron and Trevor Anderson, great ambassadors to the sport. A lot of success on the track, a lot of success off the track. They do fabricating. They'll build bodies, bumpers. They can get any parts, safety equipment, tires, service a lot of tracks. Get a hold of them guys, especially if you're over in that neck of the woods. Now, keep in mind, they can ship anywhere, right? Anywhere. You can order from them anywhere you are. They'll ship you what you need. But if you're over in that area, support those guys because they're a big part of the racing community. They've helped a lot of people and great sponsors of the show for a long time here. So, you talked about Marlar. You had a little bit of news there from Eastern Wisconsin, Bert. You said Shawano with an announcement. What's going on over there?
Yeah, Shawano Speedway announced their Hall of Fame class for 2024. Each year they induct 2, it's usually drivers, into the Hall of Fame. And this year's class includes T.M. Miller, he's won 2 sportsman division championships at Shawano Speedway. Plus he raced in the late model division for a while also. And then Verlin Gagier is the other inductee for 2024. He raced late models for a long time. Then he switched to IMCA Modifieds and won the track championship in 1996 in a modified.
How do you say his last name? I always wondered that because I saw him a long time ago, back in the 80s.
I believe it's Gagier.
Gagier? Okay, I wasn't sure because it's a interesting spelling. And did he went Vernon? Did he also go by VJ?
Yes.
Yep. So I have some pictures of his car at home. See if maybe I'm not at home. I'm in Connecticut now, but always kind of fun hearing about some of the drivers that I have pictures of that I knew nothing about. So congratulations to those 2. Macon Speedway, home of the Herald Review 100, that little quarter-mile bull ring, or not even quarter-mile, 5th mile or whatever it is, Bert. Looks like that track is up for sale. Sounds like the Carnes family has some health issues. Macon up for sale. So if you're looking to promote a racetrack in Illinois, that's a pretty nifty little bull ring right there. Speaking of Illinois, remember I talked a couple weeks back, Dave Dulciak? I said, there was a rule at Sycamore that if you raced any other track on the night, right, that they race, that they take all your point fund money away. Bert, they paid him. He actually went to the banquet. He won the championship. He did skip a night to go to a big paying show at Fairbury, and got to give a little tip of the cap, a little love down to Sycamore. They paid him, even though they didn't have to, based on what the rule was. I didn't agree with the rule, but it was a rule. They actually paid him anyway, so that's pretty cool to see. That's a good way to kind of keep your racing community strong. So good PR move there for sure by Sycamore. Silly season. We talked about a few drivers changing. Marlar, of course, we just talked about him. Another one, add another one to the list. 2023 Wissota Midwest Mod national champion Zach Benson. Hell of a good race car driver. Really, really smooth, making the transition into A-mods for 2023. So keep an eye on that 17B. I mean, if you can win in a B-mod, you can win in an A-mod. I mean, it's been proven many, many times. If you're a good driver, you're a good driver. He's a national champ. That's a guy to keep an eye on in central Minnesota, and he kind of travels all over Wissota country. Another thing, Bert, keep an eye on social media. There's too many to list, right? But, it seems like every single day, every day, there's a GoFundMe for this family or a Caring Bridge deal for this family. And where I'm going with this is life happens. It just is what it is, right? I mean, you look just over this past weekend, right? He didn't die, but Kirk Cousins, Achilles tear. He's a class act. He's a good dude. It sucks. I mean, you got Cousins haters and lovers, but at the end of the day, he's a good dude. He's out for the season. Then you look at that Adam Johnson deal, the hockey incident where 29 years old, tragically died over in England in a freak deal where a skate cut across his throat, and horrible deal. And then you look at all these racers and racers' families, and people getting in accidents. And what I'm going to say is, the racing community, right, is like a big giant family. That's one thing I love about racing. And we can be the most competitive people on planet Earth, right? We can literally be ready to absolutely kill each other at the racetrack. But when something happens, the racing community always finds a way to band together. So when you see this stuff out there, right, I get it. Not everybody can like donate money to every single thing they see, because it's a lot, right? But if you can, if you can throw some prayers out for people, if you can throw a little money, if you can donate your time, if there's a fundraiser or a benefit or something going on in your area, if you got body panels, or if you got whatever you can do, right? Just keep an eye on social media, because there's so much of it, and let's all band together and remember at the end of the day that, I mean, there ain't many more people that are more critical of things than me, right? I call it how I see it, right? But at the end of the day, we love racing, we love people, we don't want to see bad things happen to anybody, right? Even as when we say dumb shit, we're like, oh man, I kill that guy. Well, no, you ain't. You ain't gonna kill nobody, right? You hear all kinds of craziness, and I've said dumb stuff, but at the end of the day, we're a big family here. Do what you can to just help out where you can. And and just remember, I mean, racing is something we do, it's something we're part of, but that's not who we are as necessarily as people. And sometimes I got to remember that, and I think a lot of other people do too. Is Joe Blow might be an official, right? And they might be doing some absolutely stupid shit. And we call it out, and we're like, this guy's an idiot, right? We don't know what's going on behind the scenes, right? We might see a promoter that we're like, this guy's a fucking clown, right? We just say all kinds of bad stuff, and next thing you know, you're like, wow, that person's got some health issues, might not make it, So it's like, we probably need to be a little bit more conscious of some of them things. That I'll start with myself on that, but one thing, I'm proud to be part of the racing community, because when things happen, people always find a way to come together, and just keep an eye on that, right? And I mean, unprecedented, wouldn't you say, over the last year with suicides, Bert, over the last couple of years, in the racing community? Depression's real. It's a real thing, right? So we don't know what people are going through. I had somebody tell me one time, everybody's either in the middle of something, just got out of going through something, or they're about to go through something, right? That's just the way life is. So just keep in mind, if you have an opportunity, help people out, be nice, be kind, and remember, this is one big family, and we're not here that long, so just be a good person when you can. So, Bert, let's jump into anything to add on that.
No, I think you covered it pretty well.
Let's jump into our last segment here. 3 bold predictions, brought to you by our friend Mason Aaron. Mason Aaron's Videos is who it's brought to you by. And if you haven't checked out his work, this guy just loves racing, loves people, good guy, ambassador of the sport. Check them out on YouTube, on Facebook. He's got a lot of great stuff. If you're a racer and you want some like highlight reel videos, like he can put together like a little synopsis of the 2023 season. He does some really, really cool stuff, and I don't know what he charges. It's pretty minimal, but it's kind of cool to be able to have some of that. Reach out to him and see if maybe he can put something together for you, especially if you had a pretty big year. It's kind of nice to have a little keepsake. So, off the board here, Bert. Not a lot came off the board. We had a lot of rainouts, right? The USMTS stuff and the MLRA stuff rained out. But you had one come off the board. You said old RTJ was going to win at East Alabama. Yeah, no, you got 4th. That did not happen. I said that the UMP mod winner was going to be a chassis builder. I was thinking maybe Hoffman, maybe Stremme, right? Something like that. Nope. The guy drives an Elite chassis. I don't know if he works over at Elite. He's from the same area, so maybe, but definitely not a chassis builder. I got that wrong as well. Good Jeff kind of followed you, but went a little bit further. He said RTJ would sweep the entire weekend. Time trials, heat, feature, the whole 9 yards. Nope. And Coach Kraus said Dennis Erb Jr. would be on the podium at East Alabama. Boy, he's had a rough year. Had a few shining moments in there, but after coming off that championship, he kind of not quite the year that he was looking for. And he said Joseph Joyner would win the National 100, and that did not happen either. So our standings right now, Bert, you have 46 correct, 79 incorrect, 36.8. I have 49 correct, 74 incorrect, and it looks like 39.8 winning percentage. And Coach Kraus and the listeners, 12 correct, 56 incorrect, 17.6 correct they got. So I got about a 3% little higher margin, but we're gonna have a lot come off the board. We had a lot of championship stuff, and we had a lot of, so there'll be a lot coming off the board next week. But we kind of ended with this. We pretty much every week we take 3 bold, sometimes not so bold predictions, typically racing related, show related. Got to be something that either flat out yes it happened or no it did not happen, and we make those picks, and then we keep track of if we're right, we're wrong, and that'll come down to the end of the year here as well. So a little narrow margin there. So if you're a fan too, if you got some predictions, fire them over in our Facebook page or to me personally or Bert, and we'll make sure that we get you added in. So we'll start with you, Bert. We'll make 3 laps around the track here. We'll go to you. I got 3 picks here from Good Jeff, and I got 3 predictions from myself as well. What is your first one for this week?
I will say Mike Marlar gets off to a good start and wins at least one of the 3 features at Charlotte.
Well, I'll just go ahead and cross that one off my list. All right. X that one off. All right. So Mike Marlar wins at least one of 3 at the World Finals. So Good Jeff, he said this. He goes, okay, between the World of Outlaw late models and the World of Outlaw sprint cars, there's 18 opportunities to be on the podium, right? So there's six podium spots, 3 nights, it's 18. He said 11 of the 18 podium spots between those 2 classes over the weekend in the late models and in the sprints are going to go to non-World of Outlaw regulars. And if there happens to be a rainout, at least 61% of the drivers will be non-WU regulars. So he's thinking the World of Outlaw guy is going to get taken to school by some of the travelers here. We'll see if he's right or if he's wrong on that one. And my first prediction here, Bert, is Matt Williamson, currently second in points. I believe he's second in points. Matt Williamson will have the best average finish in the big block modifieds over the weekend.
Okay.
What is yours?
In the late model division at Charlotte, there will be no repeat winners. There'll be 3 different winners in the features.
Okay. But off the record, name the 3.
Well, I picked Madden, Superman, and Marlar. Okay. Those were my picks for the week.
All right. So you don't like Pierce then?
He's not in the Midwest.
Fair enough. All right. So Good Jeff. He said that the 2 most dominant drivers in late model racing this year, right? RTJ Pierce. Howdy had a great year, right? But RTJ and Pierce been the 2 most dominant. RTJ will have a better average finish over the weekend than Bobby Pierce. That's from Good Jeff. Mine, I'm going to go kind of a homer pick here, right? Kind of a upper Midwest kind of guy. Donnie Schatz will have at least 2 top 5 finishes this weekend in Charlotte. The third and final lap around the track for Bert.
Also at Charlotte, but in the sprint car division, Brad Sweet will lay all the doubters silent, and finish ahead of gravel in all 3 features.
Wow. All right. So the pressure will just be too much for David Gravel, and Sweet is going to cap off the championship season in style. All right. Good Jeff, his third and final one. So he's 24 points back of Not So Hot Carl, who's his brother, in our pickups. He says by the end of the year, when we get to the final night, he will surpass his brother in the points, being 24 points back. Now, let's be completely honest, Bert. His brother ain't made a pick in 3 weeks, right? So if he doesn't do that, probably should get a donkey award. Kind of like my buddy Bert, donkey award, right? We're on our way to the game, riding with Bert. I'm literally riding with Bert on the way to the game, going to the Lambeau Field, Packers Vikings.
If you're saying what I think you're going to say, we were actually at the bar already. We were drinking.
Oh, we're at the okay. So before the game at the bar, he looks at me, he goes, "So who do the Vikings play this week?" Are you shitting me? Like, it's the Vikings Packers that like I'm like, all right. And he's like, "Oh man, I deserve a donkey award for that."
Yes.
And let's just say you weren't like 7 beers in or nothing like that.
No, it was my first beer, but it was 9:30 in the morning.
It was. So that'd be Good Jeff's last one. My last one is just for Brad. We're gonna go asphalt. At least two of the 3 NASCAR championship events at Phoenix are the championship battle, right? So there's 4 drivers in each one of the championship battle. The championship battle in at least 2 of those races will come down to something that happens in the last 3 laps of that respective race. So it's going to be we won't know who's winning the kind of like the Lucas Oil deal, right? We had no idea who was winning the championship until literally they got to the flag stand. There's going to be 2 incidences at least in the NASCAR races that kind of follow the same suit. So that's a wrap. Duo 1 in the book. Just a reminder, Christmas time is coming. We got lots of apparel. We got hats and we got hoodies. We got T-shirts. We got the Unwritten Rules brand. We got a lot of different stuff. We got a link on our Facebook page. Go ahead and click on that. That goes to our online store. You can buy what you want to buy. Get it for your loved ones. Heck, you can, if you're feeling a little saucy or whatever, you might know somebody that's kind of a hater of the show. Hell, buy some apparel. It'd be kind of funny, right? But yeah, check out our apparel on there. And thanks to all of our great sponsors. And of course, stay tuned. There's gonna be a lot of content this week. Lots of racing down in Charlotte. Hopefully Mother Nature cooperates. It's a little warmer down there than it is up north. So as always, I'm Ryan Aho. That is the Bert Lehman. Thanks for tuning in to the One to Go Show.